Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how I clean my tanks. It's easy on the body and it's, I think, healthier for the fish than the normal way that people do it. So, first thing you need is you're going to need a gravel vacuum, like so. And then you're going to need a trash can, like so. This one's 44 gallons. I think, something like that. And trash can size can differ depending on what size tanks you're doing or whatever. I got this one's 180 and the other big one's 220, so big tanks. And obviously the bigger the trash can, the less times you're gonna have to empty it and fill it up and all that stuff. You're also going to need a hose that will reach from the trash can to the bathtub or sink. I do the bathtub, or vice versa. You're going to need a valve that goes on and off, and then a water pump. Bigger the better. And then on top of that, you're going to need one of two things, depending on how you do it. You can do curved or straight, either way. And they usually screw into the out. And you got to make sure that it fits. Get it open. The hose fits on it tightly. You don't want it to leak. So this is I think 5/16. I forget. I got a 1/2 inch one too. So, anyways, that part's later on. I recommend doing a short hose first, just because the longer the hose, the more pressure is involved, and the slower the flow is going to be. So, I mean, while I could do it with the long hose, it'll just take that much longer to do when I'm emptying it. So I just do it like this, the gravel vacuum, short hose, and then keep the trash can near the fish tank. And I will do that just kind of real quick. I'm not going to do a crazy extensive cleaning. This is more for demonstration purposes, if anything. So I'm going to do that real quick, clean it out, and we'll do, I don't know, I'll empty it to probably about here, so it's already kind of low already. So we'll go to about here, right above that blue. Real quick, one of the things you want to do before you start gravel vacuuming is you want to turn off all the pumps and filters. And if you have a canister filter, you want to turn the valves so that way you keep the water from going in or out, depending on what you're doing. But generally, you want to turn the valves so that the elbows are going the other way. I'll put a little picture right here. And then once that's all turned off, then start gravel vacuuming. Because if you start gravel vacuuming and then the pump is still pumping out and starts sucking air, you're going to mess up the pump or your filter. All right, let me start gravel vacuuming. All right, so like I said, the amount of water that's missing out of the tank is pretty close to one of these full things. Not quite. It might go, I'm thinking probably right here, but we'll see. Anyways, so now one of the advantages of using it like this is when I get my pump and put it in here and reverse it, you can use this water, which is obviously full of nitrate, for your plants around the house. All right, so the next step, and one more thing I forgot to tell you, is you need a bucket. The reason I use a bucket is, and not just the tub, which you could use the tub, but I would be really worried about soap residue or any kind of chemical residue left in the tub. So what I do is I run to the tub, and I'll usually take out the bottom. I don't know what kind of bottom you guys have on your tub, but take it out. set the tub under it, or the bucket under it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put this right here into the bucket. Now, this is another thing to think about when doing this. The longer the hose, the more pressure is required to push. So it's going to come out at different rates depending on the length of the hose, and also the girth. So these are things that you need to like kind of play with as far as your water pressure and the size of the pump and whatever. This one right here does, let's see, 475 gallons per hour max. And that's probably like ideal, like no hose, no lift, you know. So you got there's things that, variables that play on how fast the water comes out. So that being said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep it on the smaller one. If I'm ever near, and this is one of the reasons I should do this, if I'm ever like doing it close to something, I'll run a thicker hose, which will get it in quicker, and it's thicker and shorter, so the water just kind of cranks. And at that point, the tub almost can't keep up with the pump. It's close. Whereas on the opposite side, when it's really the long hose and the thinner, especially the thinner, I have to kind of mess with it and play with it. And sometimes I'll do like, keep it on cold for a little bit because it's slow when it's cold the way my tub works. Everyone's tub's gonna be different. And then I'll run like a little warmer and play with it. And the idea of this is we're gonna be taking this bucket, filling it with water from here, and filling the trash can that's already empty, okay? I guess I spaced on telling you that. That one's already empty. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fill this bucket as this bucket is being fed from the faucet. It's going to be fed into the trash can. Now there's devices that you can get to hook up to your faucets and all that stuff, and you can do that. I just haven't found anything that's really quick enough, and that attaches really to the tub. The tub's faster than a sink faucet. Anyways, so this is going to be filling up with this, and I can kind of mess with the temperature. You could put a thermometer in here, but I would say it's probably smarter to put it in the trash can. And then you dose the trash can. I wouldn't dose this with some dechlorinator. And you can also put an air stone in there, and you can start oxygenating the water. I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure there's some nerds out there who will be able to break it down and tell you whether it's beneficial or not. I mean, I've done it without it, and the water's usually pretty cranking and bubbling pretty good from coming out the faucet. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna hook up the hose to that, and like I said, we're gonna have this water going here, hook this up to the pump, and then this, and then you have your control valve. This is very important. You don't have to get this. This is a metal one. It's kind of crazy. This is a 1/2 inch diameter. But yeah, this right here, waiting for Tante. And the reason I kind of like the metal, you can get plastic, is it tends to kind of hold it down a little bit, so it's a little bit less likely to get all wobbly and crazy. But and then you just kind of mess with the pressure and like I said, and the temperatures, and try to get it to where you want it to get it. And that attaches really to the tub. The tub's faster than a sink faucet. Anyways, so this is gonna be filling up with this, and I can kind of mess with the temperature. You could put a thermometer in here, but I would say it's probably smarter to put it in the trash can. And then you dose the trash can. I wouldn't dose this with some dechlorinator. And you can also put an air stone in there, and you can start oxygenating the water. I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure there's some nerds out there who will be able to break it down and tell you whether it's beneficial or not. I mean, I've done it without it, and the water's usually pretty cranking and bubbling pretty good from coming out the faucet. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna hook up the hose to that. And like I said, we're gonna have this water going here, hook this up to the pump, and then this, and then you have your control valve. This is very important. You don't have to get this. This is a metal one. It's kind of crazy. This is a 1/2 inch diameter. But yeah, this right here, waiting for Tonte. And the reason I kind of like the metal, you can get plastic, is it tends to kind of hold it down a little bit, so it's a little bit less likely to get all wobbly and crazy. But and then you just kind of mess with the pressure and like I said, and the temperatures, and try to get it to where you want it to get it. And if you have to leave it out in the trash can, you can. But the advantages of doing this is you can get pretty dang close to what you need. And generally, this is just my experience. I think if you go a little warm, you're safe. But if you go cold, then you're gonna start running into problems with fish health and stuff. So plan accordingly. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook them up right now, and we'll start filling up that trash can. All right. What I do is I fill up the trash can from there, and then it sits in the trash can, getting the right temperature, put the chemicals in, salt if you need to put salt in it, and then from there, it goes into the tank. It's a lot of moving the water around, but if you want to make sure it's done properly and that your fish aren't going to get sick, then you do what you got to do. So I mean, time is money, but then again, if you're killing off fish, then that's not always good either. And we can turn that hose off anytime. Well, what we're gonna do is we'll probably go about the whole thing really, and then that way if there's anything extra I can add it to other tanks or whatever. But yeah, this is just so you can see what it looks like inside here. Alright, so now what we can do is we can see the temperature coming in here, and 73.6 is definitely not warmer. Oh, it's warming up there. But we can play with that thing in there so we know whether or not to give it more warm or more cold. See, 77, we're getting up there. It's just about actually pretty darn good. And like I said, you want to go warmer more so than colder. So be aware of that. Alright, so fill this up. Put a plate down below, so that way that the sand doesn't get all kicked up when it's filling up. It's a simple trick that I didn't know till later on in the game, but it's definitely helpful. So you can use a plate, you can use an ornament, but plates are pretty good. It disperses the water pretty evenly. You can't even see that it's getting filled up. If that wasn't there, you'd be seeing sand kicked up. But anyways, we're gonna sit here, fill this thing up real quick, and then that's it. All right, so there we have it, done. Not super duper clear, but this tank I've kind of been ignoring a little bit on the cleaning, which is bad of me, just because I've been having to deal with these two knuckleheads killing off everything that's been in there. So I don't know, I clean it, but it's been a little more neglect than I like to do. But anyways, that being said,